Hey, a buddy of mine's mom just passed and they need to sell the house and they don't know where to start. Well, that's a loaded question. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk about probate because that's something that needs to be addressed within that question. And I'm not going to talk about family dynamics. I'm going to start with answering that question with let's answer the question, do we sell wholesale or do we sell retail? Typically, when someone loses their parents, that was their forever home. They haven't done any updates or upgrades in the last 20 years, typically. There's outliers with every rule, but typically there haven't been any updates done. So that usually means it's going to need an extensive updating, to say the least. So do you sell retail? Do you sell wholesale? Well, does the family have money to sell retail? Do they want to invest it into the property? Do they want to wait to get their money back? Basically, they are going to be flipping the property themselves if they want to sell retail. They will probably get more money if they manage the property properly. But you can easily expect on a 1,400 to 1,600 square foot house to spend $50,000 to $70,000 in renovations between the roof, between the AC, between the new flooring, new paint. You got to change all the hardware, fans, door handles, things of that nature, because all those things added together make the whole property seem outdated. And especially in today's market, the retail buyer wants everything ready to go. They don't want to have to walk into anything. I love when people are like, well, they're going to change the color anyways. They're going to change the carpet anyways. They're going to change the paint anyways. So I'm just going to leave it and let the new buyer do whatever they want. That is so far from the truth. No buyer ever goes, well, I'm glad they left the floor empty for me so I can put whatever I want in. No, they see work and they skip right over your house and they never look at it again. So if we're going to sell mom or dad's house or grandma or grandpa's house, do we sell retail or do we sell wholesale? Does the family have 50 to 70 grand to put into it? If yes to that, is there going to be somebody who's going to be responsible for calling all the contractors, hiring all the contractors, having the foresight or the vision to see what it needs to look like? Or if you don't, are you going to hire somebody to do that? Either real estate agents can do that, or somebody like what are they called? People that help you pretty up your home. I forget the name of the people. But you can hire somebody to kind of give you an envision of what you're looking for. You can flip through Pinterest, whatever. But somebody needs to be in charge and manage the entire project from the retail side, hiring the contractors, paying the contractors, then ultimately putting the property on the market. So you'll need to shop all that. You'll need to shop real estate agents, shop everything. And then you can get a retail price for the home. Your wholesale is going to be a lot easier. You just, be leery of some people that you're going to sell at wholesale to. A lot of people will just try to get you under contract and then sell your contract to somebody else, and they have no intention on closing on it. But a lot of companies in Jacksonville, Florida, there's my company, My Fair Market Offer. There's Cash Geeks. There's Duval Home Buyers. There's a lot of people in the business that will buy the houses or close on the homes in the Jacksonville area. Nationwide, I'm sure you have your local home buyer. Just Google that. So they buy wholesale. What that typically means is they're usually looking for a profit margin of 20 to 30%. So if the retail price of the home's worth $200,000, then they're going to be able to pay 20 to 30% less than that. So let's just say 20%, make math easy. They're going to be able to pay 160 grand, but then they've got to take out the cost for the renovations that we talked about. So let's take that down another 60 grand. So now we're at 100 grand for a $200,000 house. And don't forget, they've also got back end closing costs, front end closing costs, and they've got carrying costs. when they're using their money, their money isn't free. Whether they're borrowing it or whether they're using their own, they need a return on the actual capital, not just the flip that they're doing. So once you take into account all those things, usually my back end closing costs, I account for 8%, which is 2% for normal seller closing costs. In this market, I'm counting on giving the buyer 3% in their closing costs, and then I'm also counting on paying a buyer's agent to bring me a buyer 3%. So I count 8% right off the rip. So once we do that, front end, back end, that's another 12 to 15%. So really, you're at about 65% of that 200,000 minus the 60. So once we do that, then we're really looking at, what's that? 140, 20, 40, 60, down to 140, 130. 130,000 minus the 60. So really, you're looking at a cash offer of 70,000 on a $200,000 home. And with that, they're probably going to make, in 4 to 5 months, 40 grandish, which might sound like a lot, but that's a huge project to undertake and a huge risk to undertake. But that tells you, wholesale, if you have a $200,000 house, wholesale, you're probably going to get somewhere between 70 and 90 grand for it. On the retail side, you'll get the 200, but then you're going to have to be responsible for the back end closing costs. You're going to have to be responsible to pay your agents, and you're probably not an agent, so you're going to have a seller agent and a buyer's agent. So that's double that 3%. So 200 grand, you would expect to walk away with. Let's say you're going to pay 6% for both sides of real estate fees. Let's say you're going to pay 2% for your closing costs. Let's say you're going to give 3% to the buyer in order to get their closing costs. So once we add all that up, what's that? 12%, 6, 9, and another 2, 11%. So that's 89% of the 200,000. So you're going to end up walking away with, about 180,000. But you're going to have to put in the same 50 that the flipper is going to have to put into it. And you're not going to have your contractors. You're not going to have everything dialed in. So it's going to be a little slower for you. But that's the first two questions. Do I sell it? Do we want to invest, sell it retail, or do we want to sell it wholesale? A lot of people try to go the in-between and hire an agent and ask for retail prices when they're really given a wholesale product, and that just sits on the market for 6 months. It goes nowhere. And then they keep slowly dropping the price until they find that equilibrium between selling it quick to a wholesaler and selling it for retail. And it's probably somewhere in between, but it's going to cost you a lot of heartache. It's going to cost you a lot of money in maintenance and upkeep, and it's just going to beat you up over time. So I don't like that middle mark. It's too unpredictable. If I give a good product at retail, I can say that's going to sell at that price within 95%. If I give a wholesale price, I'm going to say, well, there's a 100% chance that'll sell. I'll buy it. But that middle mark, it's like a coin flip. It's like, well, we just need to keep dropping the price and hope a buyer comes along that basically wants to overpay for a wholesale. So I guess long story short, retail price, you're going to spend time, money, hire a bunch of people. It's going to be a lot more effort. You're probably going to get paid more. Wholesale, it's going to be quick, easy. You're done with it. You'll take your money and run. You never have to think about it again. That's the flipper's problem. Hope that helps. And the probates, I will get into that in a different video, and I'll post it up so you guys can watch it here. Thanks.